he was lucky enough to have this mindset.
See, I feel like
So he, you see
it
what I'm saying?
doesn't I hear what you said, but I feel like it kind of don't apply. The problem is as a the character himself wouldn't know he's predetermined for that destiny. He don't even know his parent. The problem is that we as a reader know that, and we went through the story thinking he wasn't, or at least I did for a
Mhm.
very long time.
Everybody
I'm
did.
well,
He
no,
wasn't what?
certain people say differently. Apparently, because they knew shit that I didn't know. Apparently, when they were reading this.
They're
So
lying.
yeah, I feel that way too. But whatever. But yeah,
Just
so I'm
just
just like,
just letting you know we're recording because I can't
yeah,
get my,
that shit off.
I can't get it to
Okay.
stabilize. So I'm just we keep going, but I'm just recording
Okay,
now. I'm offline. I'm just keep going. Yeah,
okay.
but keep going.
But yeah, see, yeah, the problem is just that him working hard and all that other stuff. That's cool. I don't got no problem with none of that. But the problem is basically you told me because think about what he went through and what he did. This was a dude at the start of the series. He failed the academy 3 times or whatever. And also the first jutsu he used, even though it wasn't legendary jutsu, he only had one jutsu, forbidden
I'm gonna
jutsu.
be
He had
honest
no
with
clone
you.
jutsu.
I really don't. That failing 3 times thing is weird because he's the same age as everybody else when they all graduated together. So like I don't get that.
Now, I think what it was they had the class, right? And then they took the test, and then like everybody passed it the first try, and then Naruto took the test again after he had failed it, and then he failed it again, and then after that he passed it. But it wasn't like he got dropped back into another class or anything like that. It was probably like next week he took it again, and then next week he took it
Yeah,
again.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, like I said, a whole lot of problems I have based off what Naruto thing is for him. It's just that if he was always, destined for greatness, then why did you act like the entire time that he have no talent? He only learned this one jutsu because not even like he had a whole bunch of techniques he was learning at the very beginning and stuff like that. And
Now
it was
it
just
wasn't even acting though, Vince. Like you had people like
no, no, not
Jiraiya.
no, but
Yeah,
not
that's what
him,
I'm saying.
not from his perspective, from Kishimoto writing it. Why did you act like,
Yeah,
like,
I know
oh,
what
this
he's
kid
saying.
was
He wrote an underdog story. Meanwhile, it was fucking Harry Potter, the chosen one.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
wait a
That's
minute,
that
the
that's
fuck?
that's my problem with the way he went about it. Because my thing is, I'm not saying that Naruto wouldn't have had to work hard, but you're selling me something that simply not is. Just because you're born with special parents don't mean you're gonna be special. So, but when you throw in destiny on top of it with the special parents, come on, man, what are we doing? You're
Yeah, I
telling me
agree.
it's destiny plus special parents that make it look so bad. Not only was he predetested, it'd be one thing if it's like, oh, you know, he didn't have no special legacy, no special parents, none of that. He didn't have none of those things. But he had I don't know what you want to say. He had some type of some cosign that just like, that kid had some real talent that he just don't know about yet. That's not what happened. He got both. He got the predetermined that you were gonna be great, and you also got, oh yeah, by the way, one parent is this, and boom, the other parent is this. Why you need all that? In fact, and then the always thing we always run back to all the time too is that, oh, everybody knew he was the fourth Hokage son, and they were just like, and then, they were just like, but we gonna blame him. And
Yeah,
then the third
nobody
Hokage knew
mentions
everything,
that.
and then the third
Yeah,
Hokage knew everything. It was like, I'm watching over Naruto. No, you're not. You're not doing nothing. So that's my problem. So there you go.
yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But like I said, it might be different for other people. People got a different perspective and a different value what they value. And also, I've just kind of learned to realize too that other people value the various mini themes in Naruto because there's a lot of themes in the story. But for me, that was like one of its core ones, and for that one not being good was a problem.
Because the problem is now, like I'll get into what I was gonna kind of get into but before my stupid shit started fucking up. It's the way that it's handled and portrayed throughout the narrative. Because at the very beginning, in hindsight and retrospect, it's hard to take the beginning of Naruto hard and his struggles hard because of all the things you realize he has. Because he actually has a naturally large chakra reserve. Like you said, he's the son of somebody who's connected to Hashirama, who was the previous Jinchuriki. So you're the next Jinchuriki, and your dad's a fucking genius and the Hokage, right? Then there's prophecies about you becoming a child of destiny or whatever, right? And I'm looking at this like, bro, what part of him saying that Neji saying what he said was wrong? It's not wrong. It completely applies to Naruto. I kind of get what some people say. Some people try to go like half and half. I can't do that because I can't do that because at the end of the day, you could have gotten away with that. But what about the fact that he's the reincarnation of Ninja Jesus' son? What about that part? What, you cannot dismiss that because that's like so divorced from even like his family lineage. And in these Japanese stories, your bloodline is important. That nigga just put his hands out and gave them sage powers, or I can't remember what they're called, but like sage of six paths powers, just because they're injured on Ashura or whatever. That's trash. He didn't earn that. What did he do but exist? He was just born. So like you that's why I always fight on the pushback on that argument. 'Cause I'm like, no, it really does betray that entire theme of like working hard and stuff because all the strongest people were blessed with something. Hashirama could just has a healing factor. You got all this fucking good wood, big strong tree and shit like that. Like, bro, stop! Don't play with me. Nigga was a Uchiha, one of the best Uchiha. Stop playing with me. All the strongest characters in this show are like bloodline limit ass niggas. If Rock Lee ended up like climbing to the top, you would have had some kind of argument or pushback. You don't have a pushback on this point, honestly. It really does betray
Yeah,
its
because
own
Rock
theory.
Lee has no victories in the entire series, so
Yeah,
it just further extenuates the point that if you're not born into
and he's
a
always
notable
training.
family or half a bloodline, you can't do shit.
Honestly, the only one you could probably semi argue is
It's Mike
well,
Guy.
only yeah, that. Well, wait, was Kakashi's family prominent? They were, right? I don't know
No,
because I don't know
his
that
dad
much.
I,
was
I
like
Was
the something something
what about
the White Fang,
Shikamaru?
White Fang.
I guess he was now. He was
yeah,
blessed
but
with intelligence.
Shikamaru's not a like
Not special. He's good.
Shikamaru
Yeah,
is extremely
he
smart. He has a high
yeah,
IQ,
he's intelligent.
but like Shikamaru can do a lot of planning and actually outsmart me because I'm so much stronger than him. It wouldn't matter. Like, for example, let's say he did X, Y, and Z to put me in a shadow possession jutsu, and I'm like, nigga, you're just not strong enough to hold me here, and I walk through that shit. It doesn't matter.
yep,
So
that's a fact.
he's not a genius, and that's like you don't got the bloodline limits for it.
Yeah,
You can't.
he just scaled Shikamaru the best. I wish he would have scaled more characters like that.
Mhm.
He honestly gave him a really incredible showcasing just period. But like he didn't do that for a lot of the other ones, unfortunately. Or it just bits and pieces at times. But Shikamaru's whole entire part of the story, he gives him fucking good showcases.
Yeah.
And it just that's why he looks so raw.
Mhm.
Even Kakashi, he don't really give him a good showcase. So it's just like Shikamaru just lucked out.
Do you think that Naruto has the best fights with the big three? I actually used to hear this a lot of the times, especially from the anime, specifically from the anime standpoint. Most people that I spoke to growing up and stuff, when they would compare like the Bleach to Naruto and the One Piece, they always said that Naruto had the best fights and was like the best choreographed. They went crazy with like the taijutsu and all of that. And I just want to know if you guys do or don't agree with that.
Wait, can I just say? Wait, is Naya's voice only kind of weird for me?
Nope, it's weird
No,
for all of us. But I
no,
can still understand them. So
Naya's under the weather with internet problems.
Okay, I just.
Yeah, he's
I
going
can
in
still
and out
understand them
with his
though. Is
robot
it the
voice, but
best? Uh, that's actually a really hard question because I wasn't here for the rest of it. But
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I
from an
say
emotional,
I
I
say
mean,
hard
Pat
no.
kind of put this up earlier. From an emotional standpoint, no, and I care about the aspect a lot. From
I think from emotional, I would give it to Bleach. But I think Naruto. I don't think any of the big three lack emotion. Some definitely do it better than the other. But I think if we're looking at like most categories, I think Naruto at least hits each category, even if it's not the best at specific one. So since it's kind of like an all arounder, I think it's the best.
so I actually think Naruto has the best choreography. Like when it
yeah,
comes to like fighting and stuff, like it's very flashy, it's very entertaining. They have a lot of creativity when they're fighting, but I feel like the emotional moments, especially in Shippuden, fall flat on its fucking face. Like I just don't give a shit about most of the fighting and the conclusions to most of the fights. The conclusions also, this is the problem for the entire series, not just Shippuden. The conclusions for these fights suck overall. And if I had to pick one that had the best fights, I would say Bleach. I
I'm
think
not
Bleach is
mad
the
as long
all
as you don't
rounder.
say One
Yeah,
Piece. As long as you don't say One Piece, I'm okay.
I
No, One
mean,
Piece is more so the conclusion, but like
yeah,
when it comes
because
to choreography wise, it's like hit or miss, and then like you have some fights that are much better than others, but they're few and far between.
But is that the best anime? What do you think? What about the anime part? Is that the best anime?
Nah, the best anime is One Piece.
Hmm.
No, it's not. It's the worst out of big three.
I'm gonna argue that Bleach is the best anime.
I'm gonna go with. Damn, I don't know. I feel like I appreciate Bleach more, but One Piece just has certain. I don't know. I
I haven't
actually don't
watched
know.
any of their anime in so long. I couldn't tell you.
One Piece anime just feels so special. Like even with all its pacing issues, when they get to the episodes that are important to adapt, they nail it. Nine times out of
If we're
10.
doing anime, are we including like filler? Can we include filler?
Go ahead if you want to.
Because like
I'm not gonna include
Bleach,
filler.
I enjoy like some of the dumb Bleach filler shit where like captains literally come and chill in Ichigo's room, or they go to his school and like hang out. Like stuff like that's just fun.
No,
Like that
yeah,
really adds a lot.
that stuff definitely does add a lot. That's why I don't always mind some of the
Yeah.
stuff. But my only problem with Bleach filler is that there's a whole fucking arc that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think my problem with Bleach's anime is the filler placement. So it's like in the middle
Okay.
of the Weko Mundo arc, we just cut away for 100 something episodes, and I'm just like, dude,
Yeah, that was insane.
like,
Jesus Christ.
like you could have picked a better time to do this. But
I
And
even
I was
know, right?
watching
so,
that on a fucking YouTube clip. So I was waiting
yeah,
for
Yeah.
people.
even so, the Bleach fillers, like Miles said, are actually really good. The Naruto fillers suck, and not only
No,
do they suck, when the series was over, like the manga was finished, they were still pumping out fillers.
okay, this is what I'm gonna say.
So,
Were they
I
light
Part
was
novel
like,
one
stuff?
filler,
bro, what?
part one filler is very, very good. Part two is trash. There's not a single good
Curry of
part two
Life.
filler. Part
Like
one
I
filler is
stopped.
part one filler is hilarious. It is funny. It is
Yes,
exceptionally funny. It has like very good moments, and you can actually see Naruto being squads with other people. The Curry of Life thing with the Rock League eating like curry and then fighting the legendary swordsman, hilarious. There's an episode where Naruto and Chino are trying to do like this laughing thing, funny. Naruto and then making ramen. Part one has a lot of really, really good filler. Part two just it's just all around that.
I'm glad y'all remember that stuff, because sure as hell I don't.
because
I
I
remember because
stopped
when I was a kid, I
watching.
didn't know filler existed, so I just watched all of part one.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah,
I just say I
same.
don't remember. It's been so long ago.
I stopped watching the Shippuden anime right after the Pain arc, and then I watched a little bit of Five Kage Summit, but I just couldn't do it anymore. So when I was reading the manga, like the shit finished, and I was like, okay, so the anime about to finish, and then they were like, no, the anime is still doing fillers, and I'm just like, bro, the series finished almost a year ago, and they're still pumping out fillers. Like Studio Puro honestly does not give a fuck about Naruto, and you can tell just by the way they treat it compared to the way they treat Bleach. Like Bleach fillers were good, soundtrack was bumping, and they're bringing that shit back. They gave Naruto some of the most backhanded treatment I've ever fucking seen. It's ridiculous. Not to say they didn't deserve it, but
I feel it. Okay, so
hmm
what about chakra as an energy and/or magic system? How do we feel about it?
I'm gonna put on my chakra hat, okay?
haha.
Kishimoto, we can say what he wants. I think he understood and utilized his power system the best out of the big three by far.
Explain.
Mm.
Okay, so
Yeah, please do.
with chakra, there is not a single like thing with chakra that it does that you cannot understand or it hasn't been explained, right? Chakra, we know how it's made, which is the combining of your like life energy, your cells, and your mental energy, right?
Yes.
That's how it's made. You have your allocation of it, its usage of stamina, and like your importance of actually using chakra control so you're not wasting it, yada yada yada, all that stuff. The walking up trees and walking up on water, not only is it useful for actual in combat, but it actually helps you with your chakra control a lot, which is cool. Uh, Jutsus are split between your chakra type and your chakra nature, which is the five elements, and each one goes in a circular path of which one's better than the other. And then chakra shape. And the combination of these two things gives you different ranks of abilities. So we know how Rasengan works. We know how Rasen Shuriken works. We know how Chidori works. We know how all the basic ones. And then even the ocular, and we know how Kikai Genkai work, which is it's just you would have to be born with two specific thing and have a specific bloodline trait, which is Haku. She has water and or wind and water, and she has a bloodline trait, so she can make ice. Cool, we
Heat.
get that. Yeah. Uh, hidden jutsus are just specialized jutsus that are only kept within clans. So technically, anybody can do them. You know what I mean? It's just like it's like if you're like doing Orochimaru thing, it's just clans probably put in the work and time to like really do really weird shit. Uh, Ocular jutsus make sense. Sharingan, we know how it works. You, as Naya says, the mental illness of the chemical imbalance in your brain makes your eyes go crazy, right? And you have godlike eyes. Then you get every time you go through trauma, they get more tomes. It becomes the Mangekyou Sharingan, right? When you have the Mangekyou Sharingan, you get two abilities, one per eye, and then you get your Susanoo, which rests in your body. If you awaken it not with both, you don't get the Susanoo. That's why Obito and Kakashi didn't have Susanoo because they each had the Mangekyou separate from each other when they got it. You know what I mean? We understand the process. We understand how the Rinnegan works. We understand how he could split the Rinnegan into different bodies by using the chakra rods. You know what I mean? Everything makes sense and is actually utilized to its full limits. We see the full capabilities and limits of this is what chakra can do. You know what I mean? Bleach, yeah, I agree. The Bankai system is perfect. However, Keto is exceptionally underutilized. Shunko, which is the fusion of, your Hakuto and
Hakuto
Keto,
and your keto. Yep.
rarely used. Hiho, your movement. The only person that was ever rocking with it was Byakuya, and we only saw two levels. One was a flash step, and then one that was above, which him and Yodorichi used, which is the one like they only the clothing is left or is used. You know what I mean? But we don't see that really mixed and mashed with everything else. One Piece, devil fruits are great, but again, how you think Togashi handles like explaining things, I cannot stand how Oda puts in hockey. This is the most annoying thing of all time. The simple fact that people didn't know that Luffy had future sight or was using it during Katakuri fight shows a lot that this probably isn't being shown in a proper way. Every
Okay,
time we get like a
I have
new
I
hockey
have
thing,
two I have two
it's
pushback, but keep
bad
going.
thing. It's badly shown.
I have
And
two
I mean, I have
pushbacks.
my own other things. Okay, go on.
Do I sound okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you
Yep.
sound great.
Okay. My one pushback with Naruto with One Piece is while I actually don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying, it's not done yet.
Very true.
It's not a complete thing. But with the Katakuri part specifically, I actually think a lot of people were just incompetent. I actually do not think that's on Oda. I think that's the community being stupid as hell because here's the thing. Why would you
Yep.
not believe the person who was using Future Sight going, oh my God, he's using Y'all just refused. You didn't want to believe it, so you didn't until he did what he did in Wano, and then you're like, oh, I guess he is using it. That was not on Oda.
Mm.
That was everyone being stupid. Now, your overall point on hockey, well taken. I'm not combating that. But
Yep.
that fight itself, there was complete indication that he was trying to calm his mind so that he could see to the future the way Katakuri was, and you even had Rayleigh flashbacks telling him people could do this. Like there was no reason for anyone to be how does Peerless Donuts work? Are you blind, my nigga? He is an awakened user. He is
Yeah,
making a mochi donut
yeah,
in the
that one
air,
makes sense.
hardening it with hockey, and making a fucking fist. You're dumb. That had nothing to do with Oda. So that's all I have to say with those two. But
Yeah, I think Oda knows devil fruits better than hockey. I would say in its
yeah,
usage. I would say,
but
or and I think the actual execution of that set ability are like
mhm,
it. I do think it's weird, and there's always gonna be the contention of like whether hockey's important, whether people should have it or not. But I do find it weird that when you're in an SB, your fucking Vivre cards, which are problematic in of themselves, and
yeah.
you're giving people hockey, and they're in this life or death fight in a war, and they wouldn't use observation potentially or
Observation is
ornament to
my biggest
boost
problem.
attacks. It's kind of it's weird. It's a weird parameter, and so that's why I think at least with chakra are some abilities dumb? Yes. Should certain characters have certain abilities? No. However, the actual process of it and how it works and how it's used, I think Kishimoto understand and capitalized well on it.
Okay,
Okay.
So
question. How many?
Yes.
How many? See, you know it very well. So like, not even on like on no like creative like that. How many different uses of chakra did you say there were, or how many do you know of?
What do you mean?
Like, how many did you name of the chakra uses? Like between the all the stuff.
I would say about 10, maybe. Almost like 6 to 10. He said.
Okay,
yeah,
Maybe
okay,
I I,
okay,
I
it's
wasn't.
multiple
I don't know.
applications.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So I was just going to ask you. I guess my thing with chakra, I guess compared to the other two, even I don't even think like the bleach system is all that complex or anything.
I don't
But
think any of them are.
like, did you feel like Kishimoto, as far as creativity, got the most out of chakra?
I do.
I would say to a certain creativity wise, yeah. I think so. Like
Okay.
I've always thought
I
chakra
I
was an
think so.
extremely creative power system,
Because
Or
like
no, not
I
not
think
not the
it's underrated.
creativity. I guess sometimes I guess for me is with how much
I do you think we
stuff.
should have
No,
seen
how much limited their movesets were.
Yes, okay. I can
Oh,
agree to
that's what you want
okay.
to say.
I can
Yeah,
agree with the notion that Joning and certain people should have used more techniques in a fight. Yes, I can agree to that. Yeah.
yeah. So that's
But I
basically
think
my
with
that's
what
why I
we've
asked.
seen still showed a lot, right? Like even like when we get the Cloud Ninja, right? We see Darui use storm like lasers, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
he's like a
I
storm
was I
star.
was gonna
You
say,
can use
Miles.
black lightning.
Ironically, like the ninja from the Hidden Leaf did not do a good enough showcase of using different properties of chakra. But when he started hopping into his bag with the other villages and showing the joining from like other nations, they were much
That's why I
more
always
creative.
wanted. That's why I always wanted to see more of
Yeah,
what they were.
to me, I think the weirdest thing about Konoha is it's the land of fire. Yeah, I don't think we saw the like the only people that we saw that were really really competent were fire with Uchiha. Like even early
Yeah,
on in Sasuke, we see Sasuke do a lot of different fire moves. You know what I mean? Maybe not a
I
lot,
would
but like
say at
a
the
competent amount.
Shinobi War, that's when they actually started applying like the fireball jutsu, like we saw when they were doing
Yeah,
the team attack on the Ten Tails host or whatever. But
yeah,
aside from that, like you're not wrong. Like it was mostly just Uchiha clan members using fireball jutsu, Phoenix flower, dragon flame, all that good stuff.
yeah. And another cool thing is that like people have affinities towards chakra types, right? But everybody can you can learn every single type. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just training. Like that's why they said joning all joning should know two or three types because you can train with it. That's why Sarutobi having five was like such a great thing. But I mean, that kind of gets retconned with everybody apparently having so many different types and stuff. But yeah,
But that's
Well,
also why I asked about the creativity,
I
because
got
just
one.
like
I guess I
go
got
ahead.
one thing to ask because, like, for me, I honestly don't have a problem with chakra. I don't think it's great, bad, or whatever. I think it's serviceable. I think it works. It's kind of my opinion. That's kind of like my general opinion. But it's like when they started adding yin and yang and sage, and then now you have three natures. I'm like, okay. To me, if from what I could recall, it was kind of a jarring, out of nowhere particle style. I'm like, wait, where'd that come from? Like
okay,
I do think that how you introduce your power system goes hand to hand with how well people will take it.
okay. I'll say this right. The light yin and yang. This is weird because the Viz calls it actual light and uh dark, so it has different names. I agree. He never properly stated outright their uses. However, they were always used with like the hidden jutsus. Like Shikamaru's is technically a yin style because it's like the spirit mind. Same with Ino, and then Choji's the yang, which is like the expansion jutsu and shit.
yeah.
It
Like that.
like
That's what I was
it's
saying earlier.
there,
Like
but
there's
like he
always
didn't
two sides of the coin with
express it as well as he could
techniques
have. I
and
agree.
yeah, there's always two sides of a coin with techniques. Like just like how Izanagi like came forth. Like when I saw
That was
Izanagi, I
BS.
was like,
That's BS.
it was BS. But at the same time, it's like I knew there was a flip side to that technique because if there's a jutsu that allows you to reincarnate yourself after you die, there has to be another jutsu that traps you in a loop. So then when Itachi used Izanami, I was like, oh, see, that makes perfect sense. Even though it shouldn't have been fucking showcased or utilized in that sense. But I didn't have a problem with the way it was introduced because I knew there had to be something more to it.
Man,
Also,
what's the
wait,
jutsu that Obito used versus Conan? That's the most bullshit moment in Naruto
that
for
was
me.
Izanagi.
Couldn't believe
He
it.
used
Izanagi.
Izanagi.
Okay, yeah, that's the most bullshit thing I've
Yes,
ever seen in my life. I think that's the most bullshit thing I might have seen in a manga fight. Like,
yes,
I
I
mean, it's
agree.
not bullshit because he
nah, it
still
is,
like
man.
suffered the proper consequence where
I
like
don't, I
you
don't, I
use
don't think you,
Izanagi, you can't
I don't
see.
think losing an eye is a proper consequence for reality warping. I doubt
I mean, for them, since they rely so heavily on their eye, then I guess it is because you can never use it again.
Yeah, yeah,
But the
yeah.
real bullshit came afterwards, where he had like a fucking lab full of Uchiha Sharingan eyes
it. Well, that makes
somewhere.
sense because they killed them all. But like again, it's just like I think Kishi tried to like kind of write in. It's not super broken by giving Donzo 11 and still losing a fight. I don't care. It's still a trash ability.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that
and
arm
like
is
I
that
said,
arm
also
that arm giving me
if
the
man,
heebie-jeebies. By this side note, it's really off-putting. It's freaky.
no, it
What
is.
his arm?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Don's arm.
No,
I hate it. It's
what
freaky.
what the hell is I was finna say?
Yeah, I agree. I to me, I think this is funny. When I was a kid, the most scary thing was Sasuke's second transformation. That freaked me out as a kid.
Mhm.
I like that. I always like that.
I saw those hands come out. I was like, yeah, there's no way.
What
All
was I
right.
finna say? Damn, I
Um.
lost track. Oh, I'll get back to it later, I guess.
Okay. If you remember, just interject. I want to talk about some misconceptions about the series. So, what do people misremember and get wrong? Do you guys think it's kind of like a propaganda thing because it's kind of cool and fun to bash Naruto? Some series it's cool to pick on them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm not the one to ask for this. It's on y'all
Like,
because I probably ran plenty of things.
what do you think some things like because like one thing about like that Pat made clear to me with some stuff about Bleach is that there was some things that I just had misinformation about for whatever reason. Like, do you think there's some things you'll misremember and get wrong? Like, what do you think?
No, I don't think so because people
Oh,
love this series to death,
oh,
so they remember everything they're supposed to.
Hmm.
This is the most
mm,
talked about, other than One Piece being ongoing. This is the
yeah.
most talked about in
I don't.
series like ever. So
I think
like
for
I
me,
don't
the
know.
only contention is just when people like it was just more power scaling stuff rather than actual in
Yeah, getting
canon
stuff
like
wrong from
Yeah,
the
events.
series.
Yeah,
Yeah, but then again, people don't really argue things from this series like that.
yeah.
Other than the theme we just talked about, that's the only arguing point that happens a lot.
yeah.
The,
That's
the,
the only thing these niggas care about is like the emotional moments and the fights.
I guess my thing again would just be the differences like in the anime and manga where it's just like Naruto didn't have friends, yada yada. We went over that, but yeah. Other
I
than
went over
that,
how he actually had friends like Shikamaru
yeah,
the entire
yeah,
time, even though he said he had nobody.
yeah. They
I
didn't have
mean,
that was something
yeah, I
the
mean,
anime
listen,
added.
if Kishimoto would have wrote he had depression, I would have believed him. Because if you have like depression or something, you can be like, I actually have friends, but I feel like nobody close to me. But that's not how he stated it. He
I
stated it
don't like the
literally
second
as
part
in
of this
like,
question, Naya, where you say, do people make fun of it because it's cool to bash it? People love it. I don't think people bash it enough. That's my
No,
stance.
I think
Okay,
people.
that's interesting.
No, I think people do bash it enough.
I don't think so.
I
Because
guess it's
there's so
me.
much revisionist history with this shit. People talk about the war's not that bad. Oh, Naruto's really good. Like, bro, listen to yourself. You're fucking lying to me. When we were fucking reading the war weekly for like 5 straight years, I was there on Twitter when people were complaining every single week. And then now all of a sudden those same people talk about something, oh, it wasn't that bad. You're lying.
I gotta agree with that.
I
I
guess
No
mean,
maybe.
lie.
I guess
I've never changed on that point. So
I
I
personally
think
had a huge paradigm shift during the five Kage summit thing. That's when I really started my interest started to plummet. That's the best I can say. Like all things
you don't like
considered,
the five?
I
You don't
had
like
my
the
highs
five?
and lows, ups
Kage
and
Summit.
downs, but I was pretty okay until Sasuke was doing the nonsense he was doing there.
Yeah,
And I had a
yeah, that sounds like
because
me too.
Wait, so
Now,
I would argue
you didn't
most
like the
people
five?
sorry, hold on. I would argue most people started having a problem during the fifth Ninja War. To me, it was when Sasuke was at the five Kage summit. I'm like, this is not moving me.
Really?
Yeah, and and maybe you can explain this to me because maybe you understand it better. I honestly take issue personally with kind of how the Sharingan work because like it seemed to me that like look I don't understand the idea of Itachi being blind, Sasuke being blind, you taking his eyes and now your eyes are better. That didn't make sense to me. Now I got the Mangekyo. I
The
don't know if there
way
was some secret thing I don't remember, but go ahead.
the way I took it is the like your eyes kind of have like for Sharingan specifically have their own specific kind of like chakra
Mm.
uh I guess what's the word? Not nature, but like their own like chakra like residue, existence, whatever, right?
Mm.
So the chakra remains. It's the effect on the
Excuse
eyes
me.
that happens, which is turning it blind. The power of like the chakra would remain. So when you're giving it, it's kind of like that mixing and matching of like that family chakra of like the brothers that creates this new chakra that helps you create new eyes.
Okay, so it's magic.
Mm,
Okay,
yeah,
See, I'm
yeah.
glad somebody like you exists who understands all this
that's
stuff.
why I
Cause I
wanted him.
just read
That
it.
was one of the reasons why I wanted him there.
Cause
My
I
So
just read this shit.
my
I'm like,
main
that's
issue
bullshit.
my main issue with it is not the application of like putting somebody's eyes into your eyes. It's just the constant buffing of the Sharingan like
Uchiha.
over and over and over again. We keep adding new abilities to this shit. And I'm just like, bro, we're doing too much at this point. Like at the end of the series, right? When Obito died, he died. And then next thing you know, all of a sudden from death, somehow Kakashi gets both Sharingan and he was able to do a perfect Susanoo, which should have been impossible, by the way, because he didn't have the body of an Uchiha.
I can explain that
Because
actually.
can you?
Yeah. So
but
if if
is it a good?
no,
Okay, go ahead.
Can you?
it's not.
All
I don't
right,
think it.
let's go.
I don't think it's good, but it's because uh we have to remember that Obito's body was still remoted and he still did retain some of the Sage of Six Paths chakra. That's why he didn't die after he did the Rene rebirth on Mater. Remember? And they specifically said, "Oh, you still have that. That's why you're still alive." So
I
when
remember
he,
that much. Yeah.
yeah, so when he transferred his eyes, it still retained some of that Sage of Six Path chakra, which would then give him which would be above the Mangaki, which would give him the ability to do the ultimate Susanoo.
That's not moving me, big dog. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't blame you. I don't like it at all either.
He said he's just
I
giving you
like
the
to
reason.
yeah, I'm giving you the reason. That doesn't mean I like it. Like to me, I think the moment that Naruto shifted and became trash, I know it's chapter 599. I know this chapter. It is the
Oh, he knows
chapter
the exact chapter.
it is when we see Obito's face reveal and the next chapter is the backstory. Okay?
Oh
Now,
my god.
this is what I'll say. I will give it to Kishimoto for having an entire backstory without dialogue and convey the point. I will give him that. That is good. I like that. However, the concept of magically every single adult we've ever seen is somehow in the same age and same class as Kakashi and them, whatever. Kakashi's training with these guys, but he's supposed to be tuning already and like taking the test, yada yada. It was just a lot of retcons, and that's just kind of where we kind of just go down this slowly dragging hill of shit we don't care about. I think that's literally the change. When we like get Obito's reveal, that's when Naruto started going downhill. I think
Hmm.
everything before that's relatively fine. I think the beginning of the works is good because we actually see other ninja do shit.
All things
Yeah,
considered, I think
the
my
beginning is
problem
good.
was, I think it's interesting in a way because I guess you wanted to mix the old generation with the new generation. Like I understood the idea, like I really did. I just don't. I would argue the execution was a little bit flawed, but like
I'm not arguing that.
I'll be like a bit transparent. Like I really don't like Sasuke, and I told you guys I hate that entire clan.
I know, like, man,
I
listen,
am
bro.
with Toby
Nobody hates
Rama.
Sasuke
I'm
more
with
than
him,
me, man.
but
Nobody hates Sasuke more than me. I
Tobirama
talk
is
about
definitely the
off
best
the
Hokage.
I
Let's
but
not
talk
get it
about
twisted.
off
I
the
agree
neck
with
kid
that.
every chance I can get.
yeah, and like my issue with that arc, I think too, was like I'm like if I'm off track, like recenter me because I might be misremembering. So Sasuke pulls up, he fights like some samurai, he's fighting the Kage, right? Kage, blah blah blah. He fights the
Hmm.
Mizukage a bit and everything, and then is that after when he fights Danzo?
Yes.
He fights Gar. Yeah, he fights Gar, and then
Gara a little
leaves.
bit
He
too,
fights
and Danzo and
Danzo.
everything, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yes.
okay, like he like pretty much went all out, and then Kakashi and Sakura come, and then Naruto comes, and then they clash evenly with Naruto. This nigga got like no chakra left. There's no way your first Sengun should not have blown through his fucking hand. Like I'm so upset. Like I had so many small
That's
little
what I'm
details there.
saying, bro. It's
Because
so much
honestly, Miles,
stuff.
I understand. Like I do not have this like the magnifying glass on power scaling to the degree most people do, but I like when shit makes sense. That didn't make sense to me
I agree.
because Naruto.
I
I know he
agree.
was poisoned, but like I'm like Naruto. you have, nigga. Do you know how many strong ass esque rank ninjas he just fought? He is tired. He's talking about my
That's
eyes, I
true.
can't see. Oh, I'm blind. How did he Jitori clash with you? No, Narusenga should have blown him the fuck back. But
That's what
hey,
I'm saying, bro.
Even
It's
even if
so
even
much
if even if
shit
he
that
wasn't tired,
Kishimoto
it should have.
does
cause of the
that doesn't make sense to me in the
is it
middle of combat. That just pisses me off.
Well, no, I just think the moment Naruto got stage mode, that point on, he was just always stronger than Sasuke. It just was never a competition at that point anymore. There's nothing Sasuke could do.
mm-hmm.
He just became head and shoulders above. And every time they got a power up, the gap only increased.
I feel
Nah, Naruto had to nerf his love for Sasuke.
Yes,
it.
Oh my gosh.
very true.
Because if it was me fighting Sasuke,
Mm.
he would have been gone. That time Kakashi tried to separate him when Naruto
I
threw
think
the
this is a good
Sharingan through the
segue though,
water thing.
Wait.
I
because
would have
Actually,
gotten
I
rid
do
of
have
it.
something that's misremembered. I do want to say
oh shit, go ahead.
Okay.
it's Sakura.
What about her?
What
I
about her?
don't think Sakura is
Her
as
being good?
useless as bad as people think.
I've
Nah,
always
she's not
given
useless.
her
She's just
credit as a
pathetic.
medical ninja. That's about it though. That's where it starts
So,
and ends with
well,
me.
one,
But she has better chakra control than Naruto and Sasuke. That
yes,
that
which I
that
think
that is
people
true.
highly underrate.
They
Man,
have
listen, I don't
they
think.
but
Oh,
the
go ahead.
problem with that, Miles, is that ties into like why does that matter if they have so much they can spam what they're spamming? You feel what I'm
Right.
Yes,
saying?
But
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 this
my
go
thing
ahead,
is,
is
go ahead.
I've never called her useless. My problem is she's just not a good character.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I'm not.
saying.
Really
She's not
utilize her.
useless.
Well,
She's
Period.
just
there's
pathetic.
two.
That's all it is.
I'll say two things with her. One with the power thing. The chakra control is cool because that's what makes her a good medical ninja, and she got the 100
And the
seals.
like
Yada yada
the
yada.
punch, and she could punch like Tsunade shit too. Yeah, I thought about chakra control like, but
Yada
fair enough,
yada.
fair enough, fair enough.
I also don't think it's fair that when we have to remember that, and this is the always thing with anime. I think we like some people, even I forget sometimes. Is like we kind of live longer and have a relationship with the characters more so than the characters themselves in this story, right? The Straw Hats have been
Mm.
together for less than a year. We've been with the Straw Hats for like a decade plus, some longer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So with Sakura, the part one happens over like a 3 month time span. How how is Sakura supposed to get that much stronger and compete with these guys in that time frame? When she does get the 2 year, 3 year time skip, she does become strong. We see her fight Sasori, and actually was one of the main reasons they beat Sasori. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So uses after, yeah, she was kind of just more of like the healer, yada yada yada.
I
But even in the war, she
miss
healed. She does her job,
you.
yada.
I miss you.
Uh, and then again with the I understand people's hatred with Sakura loving Sasuke. However, I'm gonna ask all of you guys this as guys, right?
Mm.
Have you ever done
I'm already mad at you. I'm already mad at you because you probably right, go ahead.
Have you ever done something for a girl that you probably shouldn't have? Have you ever pined after a girl for a long time when you probably should have cut her off? Let's be honest. Let's be honest here.
Listen.
I knew I knew he was going
I'm
there.
gonna give it. I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you like this. Yes, I have. But at the
Thank
same
you.
time, if they've ever told me that they hated me, that they tried to kill me, that they said something really disgusting to me, anything like that, it turned into instant hatred, and I wanted them
Hey
gone.
I have
Vince. But they're ninja though. It's different.
I have
No,
I
no,
have I have
no.
so much pride and ego and self respect. So the moment he's something like that, I might have to body you. You have to die. I
Y'all
might have to kill you
ninja.
myself.
Listen.
But
I can
hey,
I hear what you're
understand. I
saying
can
though. I hear what you're saying.
understand.
But
but
no,
why? That
I
proves
think
that
Sasuke
that
went too
you're a
far
ninja.
personally. I do. I
But
do.
my thing is, it's not just her problem. Here's my thing.
Naruto too.
The moment he became a ninja terrorist and he came back to the village, and remember what's his face was like, you're finna use that move on them right now? Like, I'm like, oh, he was serious.
Who'd he terrorize?
He really tried to get rid of us.
Who'd he terrorize?
Listen, bro, he terrorized enough for me. He terrorized me throughout this manga. That's enough.
I'm just saying, man. Like they're ninja. death.
Man, I get look, man, I get
Death
it.
ain't
That don't
nothing
mean
but a
that
friend to them. They don't. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
man,
I'm not. I'm not.
I would have got it.
I'm not mad at that, but I'm not mad
No,
at
no,
that.
see,
But
see, here's
I
my
do
thing
think
too.
Sakura
Same
does get
thing.
a lot of I get like hatred, but like hate, but like
Yeah.
through a lens of misinformation. I think I can agree with that. But
Well,
Yeah.
I would,
I mean,
but
Here's
she's not
everyone
worth
else in
even
here, I don't know
rooting
about
for.
Griever. I've never really like looked at her and been like I probably forget she exists if anything. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really think about
yeah.
Sakura in any negative
Well,
light.
Yeah,
Just
she's
like
not. She's
meh.
nowhere near
yeah.
my favorite
no,
character. I don't
All
think
right.
she is right
I
now.
don't really think about it that hard
Whoa,
either.
whoa,
But
whoa. Let's talk about Sakura for just half a minute because we can. I think substantially most of us and most of the haters of Naruto can agree that the big problem with Naruto is the main three is Team Seven, and a lot of people attribute Sakura as being the reason as to why. I
Yeah.
argue no, no, she is not, because
Absolutely.
simply
I.
put, simply put,
Mhm.
Naruto's toxic relationship with Sasuke.
He said that shit toxic.
That shit is toxic as fuck. That's the most toxic friendship. Listen, I was best friends with a guy since eighth fucking grade, and right before the week before his wedding, literally 3 years ago, that's when the friendship ended. I was supposed to be a groomsman. That's the level I'm talking about. And that shit isn't as toxic as Naruto and Sasuke. I'm telling you right now. And that shit
Yes.
was way shorter. So
But this is.
to compound your
the
point, I was gonna say that my problem with a lot of things with that too is I see Naruto kind of the same way that I see like Emma for Promise Neverland. It's just like, man, listen, we do not all have to go along with you just because you're you. Like, if it was me, like I know they technically did do this, but they didn't have like a specific like one-on-one dialogue. Because if I was somebody, especially in Naruto circle, kind of in the circle, kind of not, everybody kind of just bends to Naruto's will. I'm telling him, hey, look,
No.
that guy right there,
look,
he a terrorist.
what's up?
He tried to do this
Let me
shit and
finish
just
No,
try
this
to
and
kill
point.
you.
no, wait a minute. You're forgetting
They
Sakura.
wanted to.
Sakura literally went up to Naruto and said, "I'll be your whore if you don't go after Sasuke."
Nah,
You
that
guys
was
all
a
forget that
bad
chapter?
character moment for
No, I don't.
Sakura.
But I
That
don't think
shit
about
was
it because
Well,
terrible.
okay.
That
Oh,
is
wait.
literally what she basically
the
said.
romance has always been pathetic.
Wait.
She
So
said
Let me.
she. Well, all right. I'm paraphrasing. I'm paraphrasing a little bit there, but what she basically said was basically you've been in love with me this whole time, and I was just like, yeah. It's like, well, then I'm in love with you too. And he's like, a little sus. For once, Naruto gained a brain for one chapter in the entire series. It's like, I don't know about that. And then fucking she goes, no, seriously, because she didn't want him to go after Sasuke. Everyone knew, and even Inu and Shikamaru and everyone was going there and saying, look, can you convince Naruto to fucking not go
no,
after
no, no,
that
no, no.
terrorist?
I need violent comeback. I don't need no everybody be nice to him. Look here, you son of a bitch. We
No,
not
no,
doing
no.
this.
See. The point
Well,
is that at the end of the day, Sakura might be a like dead weight, but at least
that's a
she's
strong
not
word.
toxic. She didn't do
She.
anything.
Okay. She is kind. Okay. Uh. Well,
These
one.
two
Initially, she's a
destroyed the
liability.
ninja world over the
Yeah.
fact that they couldn't admit it. They were gay for each other or some shit. Like
This
Christ's
is a.
sakes.
I'm gonna put
Brian.
on my Naruto hat. Okay.
All right.
One. I'll say this. Shikamaru and them actually did want. They did say fuck Sasuke when Naruto left for them during the Kage War. Remember, they were all planning like, we're gonna capture this guy, and if need be, we're gonna kill him. The only one that was kind of against it was Naruto, somewhat Sakura, and Ino. They were the only ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then that's when Naruto just dipped. He pretended he was like doing whatever, and he just left. Uh so
Well, you know better than me. You remember these
The
series better than
Naruto
me.
and Sasuke
You
thing,
remember better
the
than me too.
the Naruto and Sasuke thing is 1000% toxic, but I think it's supposed to be right because they're supposed to be the parallels of Hashirama and Madara, Orochimaru, and Jiraiya, and the whole point is Jiraiya, Hashirama, and all these guys they gave up on their best friend. Remember, Jiraiya had no qualms with killing Orochimaru at the point in his age. You know what I
Which
mean?
he should have. Honestly, I'm
Hashirama.
sorry.
It's the point
I'm
is
Hashirama.
sorry. When somebody reaches a certain threshold, it's not
Naruto is
wrong to give
wrong.
up on them.
He
Yeah,
was supposed to kill Sasuke.
but
Sasuke's wrong.
this is kind of going with the Sasuke thing. I'm gonna say this
I
one,
know I know where mine's
and
going with this.
this is the weird thing, and this is why I think Kubera does it the best with the redemption
Hey.
thing. Is Sasuke never went too far. Like he was with Orochimaru, and he was with the Akatsuki, but we never saw Sasuke on screen just actually killing people, ever. And that's like the weird thing, right? We see
I
it.
recall
We
Orochimaru say you're still soft because they were alive. I think you have a point there.
Yes, he literally like they beat like 100 ninja and they're over the battlefield. He's like, you didn't kill a single one.
I want
You know what I mean?
I have one pushback. That's dramatic irony on our part. We know that. The rest
Right.
of the ninja world does not know that
Yes,
though.
that's
Exactly.
fair.
That's my
Right.
point.
That's fair.
Exactly my point. Yeah.
That's fair.
Because
But I'm saying like,
you can argue for a
but that's
lot
what
of
I'm
these
saying. I'm
characters. We
saying
never
for
see them
us
kill
right,
anybody.
us right now, Sasuke was never really over the deep end. Yeah, he wanted to kill the elders and do this shit, and honestly, he was right too. Danzo and the elders never made a single good decision in all of Naruto. They were
What?
Oh, I
Danzo's
agree
a
garbage.
with
go,
that.
bro. I'm
They
joking.
needed to go.
Danzo's honestly kind of mid.
They needed to go. Danzo's an idiot. He's a moron. I think he's arguably the dumbest, like one of the dumbest characters in Naruto.
He's also a
Straight up.
coward. And nigga
Yeah.
missed out on
Yes.
being Hokage because he was scared to go
His
fight.
plans were actually stupid. But and then with the Naruto and Sasuke thing, their relationship is like that toxic thing. But like Sakura did curse Naruto with Sasuke, right, when they were kids. Because
Yeah, she did.
and yeah, we can say it's an inadvertent thing that she did, but she also knows Naruto's personality, right? Like we know Naruto's track of he's very much a relationships person because he never had that. When he gets it, he's going to hold on to it and treasure it because he never had it. And that only compiled with the girl he loved tells him, please bring back this person for our like friend group. You know what I mean? And him
Mhm.
failing only made it worse. And then he sees like his master going through the same thing and him giving up, and he's like, I have to do better. You know what I mean? Now, could the execution be better with all the crap with Naruto and Sasuke? 1000%. I'm never gonna knock like the execution could always be better. But like I think the relationship for the most part is actually makes sense. And even like someone in part two, Naruto lets the Sasuke shit kind of be on the back burner. The biggest part of Naruto really want to see Sasuke is after the 2 years, and that's like I'm trying to test myself, and he sees him. But like after that, Naruto actually does do and not really worry about Sasuke, and like actually goes and progresses with other shit. Sasuke is important, but he's not his number one priority. It's not until like he physically sees him. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Which
hey,
I
listen, you're definitely you made your Playboy accurate. I mean, my whole thing at the end of the day is I don't really like characters. So
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
Naruto, like those
I agree.
super idealistic characters, like I don't necessarily have a problem with them. My problem is when they become a centerfold like this, where it feels like they get seemingly to almost no pushback a lot of the times for
I can agree.
being them,
We
and you get
spoke
like
on that
It's
earlier, Vince.
like
yeah.
it's like the Bam effect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, see, at least Bam got the red witches. Now Naruto really don't even got that. Like, but yeah, the same thing though.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't just have this living for this person I became a part of their party member for type shit. I
I'm just gonna say
honestly,
this real
it's
quick,
not.
Vince. To keep going, like since I think we're on the top, we're basically on the topic right now because we've been talking about Naruto and Sasuke. So I want to talk about how we feel about them as the characters overall in the series. We mostly had focused on their relationships, but Naruto and Sasuke specifically as a protagonist and their antagonist. Like, how do you think they are and how they're handled? Like, what do you think
All
about
right, so personally speaking,
that?
just all agenda, bias, hatred, everything. I don't like either one of them
Okay.
at all.
hmm
But if I had to eject them fairly, throw that all out the door, or not all of it, but my levels to it. Uh, Sasuke is done really well in some ways. Like I think his showcasing is always cool. Uh, he has some of the best moments in that particular series. A lot. Um,
And
what else did I say?
I was the one thing I was saying about Sasuke is in hindsight, I didn't know that the story admitted that he's a tool. I didn't realize that until I reread it. I think
Yeah.
Itachi says he's like a blank canvas, something like that.
Yeah.
I might be misquoted. I don't remember it verbatim, but basically, like, anyone could kind of paint him to his color because he's so like kind of lost or whatever the case is.
Absolutely.
I didn't recall the narrative itself admitting that. So he is so like Kishimoto was telling me, yeah, he's a tool. Like you tell him the right things, you whisper some sweet things in his ear, and you might get him to do what you want him to do. So
Oh,
but
absolutely.
I hate
But
both of them though. Actually, but again, like
yeah,
I said earlier, I do think Naruto actually does not start off bad. I think Kid Naruto actually is a lot more palatable. Like he's fine, honestly. I
yeah,
don't think
I
he's even.
agree. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna let somebody else speak.
Naruto loses me because like this is kind of the discussion I'll be having with my girlfriend sometimes because I'm like, yo, it's like well taken what I'm seeing what you're trying to do, but it's not. It might not hit me personally. I might not think you executed it well because I really, really, I'm so sorry. Like, I understand that this is supposed to be such a great character moment and like this like moment of forgiveness, but you cannot call the murderer of your parents or at least a catalyst for why they died the coolest guy ever. It does not
Oh,
sit right with any cell in my body, with any fiber of my being and soul. I reject it wholeheartedly. I can't do it. It's like when I seen that trial with that one cop. I think she was in the wrong house and she shot the guy, and then the judge and her were hugging. No, I don't want to see that. That's not moving me. I can't. I can't. I can't do that. I love freedom is too much. I understand that the point, like Naruto, somewhat quote unquote saves people in the ninja world because no matter what they've done, he's always willing to try to give them another chance and see the good in them. But fuck all that shit, bro.
Yeah, I can't do it.
y'all niggas keep stealing my thunder before I get a chance to speak on it.
All right, I mean,
Ah.
go ahead.
Nah, well, I was gonna say when they were, because the question is both with Naruto and Sasuke, right?
Yeah.
So when they were kids, I was very, very high on Naruto, and I was like kind of middling on Sasuke. Like Sasuke was cool, but like I didn't really care about him that much. Like I liked seeing him fight or whatever, but as for his personality, I thought he was kind of stuck up. But Naruto was endearing. The village hated him. He wanted to prove himself. He was like, I'm not a loser. I work hard. He had all the like underdog traits going for him. And like when it came time to put up or shut up, he kind of froze that first time when he saw some real combat. He got shook a little bit. And then what he do? Stabbed himself. He was like, all right, no more of that shit. And ever since then, he flipped on his head and then he started fighting people every time somebody tried to step to him. So I was like, all right, I'm rocking with it. And like Miles said, like every time he trained, like I could see him like working hard. Like he couldn't get it at first, but then he kept sticking with it and eventually he would get it. It was satisfying. I liked Naruto a lot when he was a kid. My favorite moment from him when he was a kid was probably like when he kind of got the basics of Rasengan down in like 3 days and hit Kabuto with that shit. That was like one of the best moments in the entire series. Now, when Shippuden comes, or post time skip as you will, I started to realize that even though Naruto had gotten bigger and gotten older, his mindset had not changed. And it was a big problem for me because, like, even though he was saying, like, you know, oh, I understand you went through this, but like, there's another way. And like, he was being preachy to people, like when he talked to Gara or like when he talked to Sasuke. And like, I mean, Gara listened to what he had to say because he beat him, and Sasuke wasn't trying to listen to what he had to say because he wanted to kill Itachi. But like, I was like, the world that they're living in, it doesn't work for what you're trying to tell them. But
That see
you're a kid, so
that
it's okay. You're naive. You haven't seen the world yet. But then he got older and he was still on this shit, and I was like, bro, your your quote unquote best friend just left you 2 years ago because he wasn't listening to that bullshit that you was trying to speak. The enemies that you're fighting now are like actually trying to kill you. Like they're not having any reservations about doing this shit. They're committing atrocities and stuff like that, and you're still trying to talk them through it. And it came to a head in the Pain arc, like I said earlier, when Pain asked him a legitimate fucking question, and he didn't have the answer. And Pain was just like, okay, I believe you. And he completely reverted all the consequences and stakes in that arc. And that was the most peak example of fake tension I've ever seen in my life. And it pissed me off. And then when the hidden cloud niggas came, because they're like, oh, Sasuke, da da da, took Killer B from us. How are you going to rectify this situation? What does he do? Instead of being like, all right, Sasuke wronged these people, let's go find Sasuke and then, like, arrest him or whatever the fuck, a logical conclusion. He's like, I know you're upset. So instead of taking it out on Sasuke, just beat me up. What? What? And then he's like, oh, Sasuke did this, this, and that. And then he started foaming at the mouth and then had a panic attack and he passed out later on. I
That
was
was
like,
funny.
bruh,
That's one of the funniest things ever.
like you cannot get more pathetic than this. Like it was just, it's so egregious. And then like Naya said earlier, when we get to the Shinobi War, you talk about some don't talk bad about Obito. To me, he was the coolest guy. Just because both of y'all wanted to be Hokage, he was the coolest guy. You know how
See,
many
Pat,
niggas in this series wanted to be Hokage? Like, what are you
bro,
talking about?
everybody, Kiba wanted to be Hokage, but see, Pat, you're making you did a good job of because I couldn't even explain it, but I can tell you the very first time I started to not like Naruto, and the start of the Chunin exam when they're supposed to be taking the written test, and he gets out of the written test by making that dumbass speech.
Oh, brother.
That was the first time. That was the first time I knew what type of time he was on. I was like, did he just convince? I was like, did he just convince a teacher to pass him with a speech about what? About huh? And like for me, and then another thing, I think
Nah,
my
nah.
base.
Passing a test without answering a single question, go, bro. Nah, that's actually
Wait,
go.
no, wait. I just want to say no. The whole point was just like, are you willing to
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are
remember
you willing
they
to
have the
risk? Yeah,
special
yeah, yeah.
question.
That was a good. It was
Man,
go
I
ahead.
don't care about that, man. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. See, now I gotta turn the agenda hater back on. I don't, man, listen, bro. Some kid get up and try to tell me, a grown ass man, and give me some speech like that. I'm telling, sit your ass down and finish that test, man. Stop talking to me.
I would
Like,
have
what are you
called him
talking?
back
Like,
in,
what are
like, bro, you gotta answer one of these right.
you?
I you can't be
like,
you can't be this dumb on the field. I'm joking. I know they're supposed to be like really advanced question. They didn't know. I remember it well. Don't worry. I'm
I
just
mean,
messing
for
around.
me, my thing is, if he telling that, and I'll probably be on like some Gilgamesh type shit. Like, kid, you amuse me. I'm gonna just let you go because I don't give a fuck. That shit was funny. Some shit like that. There you go. You can pass because of that. You're not moving me with that though.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's how I feel about Naruto. I think he's actually the worst main character I've ever fucking seen because the shit that he just does
That's
is
crazy.
just
Thank
it's so
you.
egregious to me. Like it just makes me physically ill when I look at him. Like your mindset is disgusting because it's like the theme of Naruto itself is because the nature of the shinobi world is dark and violent and you have to do underhanded things from time to time, they're going to breed a cycle of hatred. So what Kishimoto is trying to portray here is that cycle of hatred is very toxic and it's not like applicable to life. So you should have it in your heart to be able to forgive people from time to time. But the less that he goes to forgive people would just disgust me. Like I can't. Nobody who kills my parents will ever get my forgiveness ever. Never
See,
in
but
life.
I agree with that.
forgiveness does not mean people have to go unpunished. Is my problem too.
I agree.
Because
I agree.
I can forgive Sasuke and not give up on him, and still think he needs to go to jail. like you can have both. You can have both
So
of
does
those.
Orochimaru by the logic.
Yeah, he's the worst one.
Oh, you're back.
Exactly.
Now,
He might be a
now,
great character. He might be a far better character than Sasuke, but that man needs to go to jail a couple of dozen times.
Jail, no, he needs the death penalty.
You gotta
He's
be.
unredeemable.
Yeah.
now
It
with
needs to be.
Sasuke, right? Like I said in the beginning, like I wasn't really caring much about Sasuke, but in the second half, he had the right idea most of the time because the way the world had dealt him such a shitty hand, he only went about it the way that a normal person would. Like he trying to get even with whatever caused this situation because he didn't deserve that shit. He didn't deserve to have his brother kill his whole fucking family. He didn't deserve to have to find out that his brother actually was ordered to do this after his brother's already dead. So when he fucking went around trying to kill the elders, I was on board with him with that. So that's why the 5K summit was raw to me. Now, all that
Yeah.
shit afterwards, where he was like, I'm gonna destroy the Hidden Leaf, da da da, or Revolution, I wasn't with that. So I'm still indifferent on Sasuke. But like, if you had to ask me to pick a person from Team 7 that I like the most, it would be Sasuke.
That's a good
Are
argument.
are we including Kakashi for Team 7?
Who
You
No.
have to.
cares? Who cares?
Because all
I
right,
like Kakashi.
yeah, I was gonna
No,
say
listen,
if it's out of them, if it's out of the four of them, I'd pick
Yeah,
Kakashi.
I'm picking
Yeah,
Kakashi.
yeah,
I'm picking
Kakashi. Almost
I put,
everyone would pick Kakashi, who's read a fucking story.
I
I'd
don't
actually,
like
I'd probably,
Kakashi.
otherwise, I'd probably pick Naruto. All things considered.
You would pick Naruto. That's surprising.
Yeah, I probably would too. I can't win though. I can't
Yeah,
win because of the
it's
sacrifice.
like I'm picking like it's bad versus evil. Like no matter what I pick, my soul hurts.
Yeah, I
I
can't
know.
win.
Yeah, I feel that.
So, but
He get called the person who caused his life to suck from the moment he was born. The coolest guy. That is just so
Listen,
but
listen.
nasty.
One of the biggest problems I have with Naruto as a main character came a little later. I never liked Naruto, and that's for like a multitude of reasons. One of the biggest things was everyone called him the underdog story, and it just wasn't fucking true. And Kishimoto put it in black and goddamn white that it wasn't true, and everyone still wants me to believe that this guy is just as good a character, even though everyone who was toting how good a character he was using the underdog story to do it. I just don't buy it. It's like Deku. That's not an underdog story. That's a dude handed Superman's powers. He's not Batman. He's Superman. It's not an underdog. It's a dude with the power of Goku. Goku worked for his power. He's an underdog. He was a
I,
lower class Saiyan. Fucking Vegeta didn't work for his power, worked for it later. But we have an elitist in Dragon Ball Z. We have literally two underdogs by the end of the story who are basically breaking the anime universe if they wanted to. But neither one of them would be considered a Superman, even though the comparisons are there. But Deku, Naruto, all these people, it's like they were handed this shit. Their genes, their lineage, their like,
the
oh my god,
reincarnation of
Naruto,
Ninja
I just so
Jesus'
happened to
sons.
steal into the scroll and get the ultimate shadow clone version, and I used that to bump myself up a couple of steps, and then I got some great fucking mentors, the one in a million. Oh my god, I ran into the Rayleigh of Naruto. Who'da thunk it? And he
The
taught me how
Rayleigh
to
of
do shit.
Naruto.
I mean, white hair, old dude, one of the most
Pervy.
powerful in the verse, whatever, But I ran into this dude, and he taught me how to use my power properly. It's like, what did you think was going to happen? Like I understand the whole argument against real life versus manga, but you don't take Wayne Gretzky and throw him on the ice and assume that he's not going to be able to fucking skate any more than I think I can throw Michael Jordan on a basketball court and assume the man's not going to be able to do a fucking basket at 9 years old. You know why? Because they did it at 9 years old. They did it before then. So like natural talent is a thing, you know? So
Yeah.
I just don't buy what Kishimoto was doing with Naruto, and that makes me fucking hate Naruto from the ground up because Kishimoto tried to sell me a character that never existed in the first place.
Here, I have a question.
Okay.
Shoot.
I never thought of this until rather like when I did this reread, and it's I wonder if it was a misinterpretation on our part of the underdog part being more specifically something of a mental aspect rather than the physical stuff, right? So like it's just like weird how he does it, but like multiple times throughout the story, he calls everybody gets the word genius thrown at them in some way. And I know it doesn't make sense logically,
Genius of
right?
hard
Like
work,
Lee is
blah
called,
blah. Okay, yeah,
yeah,
okay.
Lee's called a genius of hard work. That's not like a thing, but like I understand. So like I always wonder if him when he always says Naruto's the underdog when we take it is like, well he can't control his powers. He doesn't have this shit. They call him a dunce. We incorporate that part into it logically because that's kind of how it's shown. But I think he might have been just trying to show like, no, he's an underdog in the sense that no one likes him,
See, I
and
never
it's him
called him an
getting the
underdog.
I
accept,
mean,
and he
I
thinks
never
about
did
like
that.
getting
yeah,
acceptance.
I hear what
You
you're
see what I'm
saying though.
saying?
but if you,
I never did none of that though. All I'm
I,
saying is
Yeah,
that you told me he was
I think
untalented.
most
Or
people
basically,
did.
that's my bigger problem.
Yeah.
no, I understand that's not a bad point, but I'm saying that
I don't know. I thought
even
you
if
tried to get
that's the
cute with that.
case, then like I'm not like no. I'm just gonna say, listen, I'm gonna let the man make a good point. He made a good argument against it. I don't agree with the argument because then that's the fault of Kishimoto for making. He didn't make that clear.
I
No, no. See,
yes.
Kishimoto should have
Push back.
told me that this was
I'll
not
push
standard
back against the
underdog.
argument. I'll push back against the argument because if you telling me that somebody is untalented and they have to work hard and they're a failure, isn't that an underdog? That they
That could be
overcame
the
all the circumstances?
Yep.
I'm gonna put it like this: unreliable narrator.
Okay.
Oh,
Because
that's
we could then
insulting.
say what the mental thing is, everybody was already clouded by their preconceived notions of Naruto, thus they didn't give him the proper due diligence and
But
chance.
who's the unreliable narrator? Kishimoto
Everybody in the
himself?
I was gonna say everybody in
Yeah,
the
and then
village.
you have just bad storytelling and bad
Well, I
writing
would
from the
say
get go.
everybody in the village, right?
It's
You know,
I get where you're going with this because it kind of reminds me of how people in One Piece speak about certain things like devil fruits. Like I can't trust somebody in East Blue. You never left your damn island. What the hell you know about a devil fruit? You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes and like or like if you like Monogatari, Kaiki's a con man and he tells you when he's telling his story from his perspective, you might not want to trust him. He might be
Or
lying
Naya,
to
the
you.
best overused thing in the verse. Fucking, oh, 1v1 bet on Kaido. Oda never fucking said it, people.
right?
He said, people say that if it's a fight against Kaido, bet on Kaido, is what they said. And
He's-
the dialogue box after that was he has lost as a pirate 11 times, captured by the Marines 17 times. So where did we get this whole? It was like people literally in the East Blue, villagers were saying, "Oh, well, bet on Kaido. If I went to Vegas, I would bet on Kaido. Doesn't mean
Mm.
Kaido's gonna win. It's a
Reaper, you
good
know
bet."
these niggas can't read, bro. They only pick what
Hey,
they want to see.
oh, I know. I'm just saying, like it's the same. It's the same thing. Everyone's been using that. Like Oda said it like the goddamn gospel for the last 10 years, and he never did. So same
yeah.
thing, right?
I have a. I want you guys to wrap up what you wanted to say about Naruto and Sasuke because I asked this question to lead into what I would argue becomes a huge issue that I have with the series as a result of Naruto and Sasuke. But but finish your discussion if you're not done yet.
All I would say is, I mean, I personally like them. Like, I enjoy just seeing them on screen. Like,
Hmm.
I like their dynamic. Like, I really like the panel where Naruto first comes back from the time skip and he has, like, the overview of the village. And then Sasuke when he goes back and it's, like, the opposite. And it's like, I just like the little reference like that. But I think whether or not you don't like Sasuke, like, I'm never mad at people who don't like Sasuke and Naruto. Like, they can do dumb shit. There are
Yeah,
points in the story, even when rereading, like, I can't stand Naruto from when he first comes back from the time skip until the pain arc. I
I
hate,
still
like, I
think
hate that
I
version
think
of him.
him versus Pain is the only time in my life where I thought he was like, yeah, he's kind of cool. It's kind of
I
cool. The
think
cloak's
the
cool. The
pain
scroll's
thing is
cool. Like, you look cool
the
here.
pain thing
The
is so
sage mode is cool.
polarizing.
Yeah.
It's such a polarizing moment because as we were talking about, I like that he was questioned and he didn't have a question. Like, he didn't have an answer. It takes a lot for someone to just say, like, when you're put there in, like, in a circumstance and you say, I don't know what I can do. And he admitted that, and that took a lot. Not to mention, he told Pain, I can't stand you. I do want to kill you. But
Hmm.
I want to honor the agreement, like the beliefs of those before me. That's why I won't. However, the end result and the lack of an actual answer is the problem. But
Yes.
Yeah.
I do enjoy him. Sasuke, whether or not like some of what he does is dumb, I do think everything he does makes logical sense as to why he thinks he should do it. And I actually like that we see an actual progression of Sasuke thought and the small changes to his plan of, they did this to my brother, I'm gonna kill the elders. I'm gonna kill Konoha. Wait, I listened to the Hokage, heard the past of them. I'm going to then actually just take reins of the world myself and just change it. So that little progression of thought changing and actually being willing to hear new information and changing it based on that, I appreciate.
Okay. And the reason that I kind of bring this up is because my one of the biggest issues I've had with this series is that I think that all things considered, I know we don't like them. I do think that the a lot of the supporting cast had a lot of intrigue. And as the focal point of the series became Naruto and Sasuke, I think all of the characters fell to the wayside as a result. There were some that still had to got moments to keep their like sense of agency. I would argue like Shikamaru and Gaara, a couple characters like that. Like they still got to do their thing here and there. But I thought that because he put so much focus on what Naruto and Sasuke were doing, everybody else fell to the wayside and became almost like incompetent and inept or just like some type of weird supporter or something. And I don't like that. I hate that. I never liked that about about the series. I don't
Nah,
know if you guys
you
got.
could throw Gara in
So
that
sort
shit
of
too.
what happened in My Hero Academia, Black Clover, everything else.
I don't know. I don't really. I don't. I'm not caught up with those right now, so I couldn't
Oh,
even.
fair,
Wait,
fair.
I have a question about. Do you guys think Gar should have died? They dead?
Yes.
I mean, I can say that about a lot
Yeah.
of characters. I thought Kakashi, as much as I love
Mm,
Kakashi, I thought Kakashi should have stayed dead.
I agree with that too.
Yeah. I
Actually,
don't
okay.
think Edo
No, no,
Tensei should have
I think
happened.
I think the Kakashi one I can understand because of Obito. So
Yeah,
like
but see, but my thing is, the thing with his
I
dad
hear you. I
is,
hear you though. I hear you though. I thought it should have been I thought he should have been gone too. Uh,
Naya, we're back to a Byakuya point. Fangirls were mad.
I don't know.
Mm.
I personally like part one of Gara more. I'm that guy, so
It,
I don't
nah,
know.
that's what I'm
Gara was
reading
All
around
too.
doing his
33
thing. I'm
chapters
not
of
mad at Gara being around and being alive, but like
yeah, I'm mad at
I
that
didn't
too.
like the idea that it was his mother saying that was more me. I was
Yeah,
just
see, I don't like that part, but I did like Gara being brought back.
meeting his dad. That
Yeah,
was cool.
okay.
Like it's fine.
Not
I'll
being
even
brought back.
admit this.
I like Gara.
I'll admit this. I
that,
don't get the mother stand shit. I
no,
still that
but
that just doesn't.
that
That
was
reminds me of
actually
like the Harry.
yeah,
Go
it
on.
was a Harry Potter thing, but it was kind of brought it full circle. Like at least Gara had a complete like finally the father he could forgive his dad in a way. I don't know. I actually kind of like it. Even if it was an
That nigga
ass pull from a
forgave his
plot device
dad.
point, it was done with a decent character, so it sort of sold me. I
Nah,
don't know.
that goes back into what I'm saying, Reaver. Like, a nigga forgive his dad. Fuck his dad. His dad was trying to have him killed.
See,
Like, what are you talking about?
I hated in part two that
No,
Gara
no,
became
I'm not saying. Well,
became
Pat,
basically Naruto 2.0. I needed him to like un- he could understand what Naruto was trying to teach and stuff like that without like coming
Nah,
in.
he didn't turn into Naruto 2.0. He turned into a Naruto cuck. Every single
yeah,
thing
he
that
did
he
a little bit.
does
Whoa.
revolves
No,
around
but
Naruto
Pat,
now.
I was not saying that I like that happened, and it's not what I would do. I'm just saying from a character development standpoint, it was nice to see Gara get that, what for lack of a better word, closure
I hear
from
He
what
was
you,
we
kind of
understood.
and
Gar was honest.
I raise you with Kishimoto being a garbage writer, creating an
Thank you.
unrealistic scenario.
Gar was
Agreed.
kind of spitting
Agreed.
during the Hokage
100%.
Summit War.
Crying.
Clink
Hmm.
the glasses, Pat.
I wanna I do want to touch on this real quick about these two characters too, because me and Vince and Pat have spoken about this. I don't know if I stepped away for a little bit, so I don't know if you guys brought this up. Because actually, all things considered, when it comes to these two characters and this dynamic, when Sasuke said this to Naruto, while I didn't think that made Naruto's pain any less valid, I actually understood where he was coming from. I always thought this was
I
a cool thing that he said to Naruto, where it's like you never had them. They
Exactly.
were taken from me by my own
Oh,
brother,
here we go.
by my own like this. Trust me, like to be completely alone is a different type of pain, which I don't think is any worse or less than Sasuke. Maybe your point of view and that's different, but I actually really liked they said that to him, like, bro, I loved my mom, I loved my dad. They were there, I was around, blah blah blah. My brother
fuck
killed
forgot.
everybody.
This
Fuck
must have been
forgot. Good.
after the Bleach
That's two of the
podcast because
best
I
things.
was
That's
there for
two of the
that shit,
best
man.
things he ever said. The other ones when he actually berated Sakura at the beginning of the series for her calling him childish and shit like that. He just like you don't know anything about him. Blah 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 blah. Like you're annoying as fuck. And I
Mm.
was like, see, he has some good moments. Just overall, I just can't stand.
I
It's really bad. It's kind of crazy how much this manga anime is just painted by two characters. I think my biggest problem with Naruto at the end of the day, other than the theme thing, obviously, is that this manga is dominated by two personality archetypes I can't stand. The tool running around that he just aimlessly don't know what he's doing. Now he's just mad at the world, but he doesn't know what he's doing. He's being led
And the
everywhere by
guy who doesn't know
everyone.
how to use the tool
And
in the
the
first
other
place.
guy who's preachy and super idealistic to the point that like it can't be shattered. Everything has to bend to his will.
you
Mhm.
know I don't think I've
It's
ever
like
heard
both
someone
those
explain
things.
it like that, and I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Ooh.
everything has to be bent
Because
towards these
it
two
is very
people.
dominated by them, and if you can't like stand two characters that are dominating, like I understand it. Like that would
Yeah,
probably be annoying.
you take Team 7 out of the equation. Think about it. It's
You
kind of
even have a series?
I don't have a problem with a lot of the cast of Naruto. I wanted the world to be explored more, but that's not necessarily a negative.
Yes.
well,
I like
yeah.
a lot of the powers, the
I really
jutsu.
thought I really wish the Hugo clan was more important. I feel like he tried with Naruto the last with the what's the eye called, the Tonketsu or something like that it was called. I'm sorry, it's not because
I
I
wish
don't
Uh,
remember.
Genkais were more important
The
in
Hugo clan
general.
I thought was gonna be more important.
Aside for the what's it call it? Aside for the Sharingan people, the Uchiha.
Yeah.
You remember their name?
uh,
But
I think in the first half of, well, not first half, but pre-time skip, they were pretty important, and then
And then
post
it
time
fell
skip, he
off.
just kept focusing on the Sharingan and forgot everything else.
And remember, Vince wasn't here when we talked about our favorite or like the best and worst things. And I remember I said that Team 7 is the thing I hate the most about Naruto. And I think one of the best things about Naruto is the amount of decent cast of characters. Some are good, some are bad, some are mediocre, but at least it's an interesting cast of characters. And I wish we had more focus on them
Hmm.
versus Team 7. Like, I could have followed any of the other teams and probably been happier.
I don't think Hinata, Kiba, and Shina were.
I don't know. I think Shino. I think the
Honestly,
Abarabe
I
clan
really
had a
liked
lot
that
to
team.
be explored.
Shino was, yeah, but like I don't
I
think
feel you.
their
I feel you
dynamic was very good.
on Dog Guy. I don't give a fuck about Keeper, bro.
Oh, leave Kiba alone, man.
Yeah, all right.
He likes a
But
dog. The people who like dogs aren't bad people.
Nah,
yeah,
I'll
I
never
don't like.
forgive
I
Kiba
don't.
because he was the only one that got his ass whooped on the fucking Sasuke retrieval mission.
he got farted in
Everybody
the
else was
face, man.
hooping.
I couldn't take him seriously after he got he got beat by a
oh
punch. He
no,
got farted.
I've always liked that two-headed dog transformation.
Well, hey, wait a minute, wait a
I
minute,
did.
wait a
I like
minute.
the guy he fought too.
You want a
Sakon.
real
Sakon was
underdog?
like
There's
I
a
like
dude with no
Sakon using a
talent
rook.
losing.
Hmm?
I just
We were
said
talking
there's
at the
a
same time.
you wanted a real underdog. There's a guy with no talent losing. That's
Yeah, that is real.
accurate. That's realistic.
Uh, I was
Him fighting Sakon and Sakon using Orochimaru's gaze. I'm like, man, I see, look. I'm like, do you see the
Ah, Shoma.
versatility of Orochimaru, bro? Look at all these jutsus he created. He even giving other people jutsus to use. And then I'm just like, I'm expecting that with a whole lot of people, and it just didn't happen.
Orochimaru is
uh,
pretty fantastic.
He just uses
it's
snakes
pretty
though,
cool.
low
But
key.
I was gonna say if we go back to the now you said the thing about the you never had them.
Yeah.
And I remember we had this conversation like off stream Griever, and I did think of a new point where you said, since Naruto did uh get used to and adapted to it, it's a little more painful for Sasuke, right?
Yeah,
Because he had a
Remember
jarring
that
change
story?
in his already life. Okay, I hear what you're saying.
yeah, yeah. It's sad to know that a kid never grows up to know their mom and dad, and we see that every single day in the real world. But having your parents murdered in front of you when you've already known and grown to love them, and they take care of you, and blah blah blah. I'm sorry, the one with the kid, the 10-year-old with the kid with the parents murdered in front of them, way more traumatic than the kid that never even knew them. You can't miss what you never
Disagree.
had.
But remember
I
that.
can't miss $1 million.
But
Okay,
I've never had a
But
this
million
my only
dollars.
pushback is that remember that at the very least, Sasuke was kind of he didn't really care, but at the very least, people saw him. Oh, he's talented. Oh, Sasuke Uchiha. Oh, girls like
people
him.
still
Yada
love
yada, and
Sasuke.
nobody gave a fuck about Naruto. he on that
Bro,
swing by
Naruto,
himself.
That's a
bro,
Like
yeah,
walk
that's
on
what I'm
the
saying.
like
village,
Naruto
not
was
like
a
like
my
Naruto
Sasuke.
I
did his
like
thing by
I'm not
himself.
telling you anyone is better or worse. I just think they're different
I
types of
think they're
pain.
I think they're exactly equal. Like I think Naruto wasn't only shunned, which does a lot for a kid literally growing up and having no one around him, but like he was hated for a reason that he did not know. Like he
Yeah,
couldn't even ask or
Shout out
begin to
Sarah Toby.
understand imagine just walking on the street, people are just spitting at you, and you're just like,
No, dude,
you know what
you
I
know what
mean?
Naruto is doing in that moment? Naruto is your parents from the 90s basically saying there when you won't finish your dinner, there are kids starving in Africa, and Sasuke's like, I am the kid starving in Africa.
Damn.
That is literally what is happening right now, and Sasuke's not wrong to say, you cannot compare our situations, you
But
asshat.
but
Shut
this is
up.
a but this is what I would also say with the Naruto thing, where just because he endured it doesn't make the actual event any less impactful, right? Like if let's just say this, right? Let's say
Not saying it's not sad, just so
yeah,
clear.
but I'm saying let's say two people, right? They both lose their parents, right? One
Hmm.
person can acclimate to trauma better than the other.
Sure.
Just because that person is used to it and can handle that doesn't make the actual event any less traumatic than the other.
That's well taken.
Agreed.
So
No.
That's
with
well
that, with
said.
Naruto, just because Naruto kind of got adjusted to that pain, and he kind of really didn't. He was putting on a hard front,
He
but
was he was doing shit for attention.
yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't
But
make the event of him never having anybody
I'm
like
not
any
no,
less. Like
I'm
you know
not
what I'm
saying
saying?
it's not traumatic.
No, I know you're not.
I'm not saying he's not dealing with shit. I'm saying that you literally cannot miss what you've never known to have. That's just a fact. And
Yeah, my
Sasuke
my my
knew
point
loving
of
parents. Naruto
my
never did.
my point of contention is always been that Naruto was trying to talk to Sasuke like he understood where he was coming from, and he
Right.
didn't.
And he
And that's
can't.
what made Sasuke mad. And it was
Right.
very obnoxious and pretentious for him to do that because just because you know a similar type of pain doesn't mean that it's the same thing.
I would
So
agree to
because
that.
they both knew loneliness, okay, you could connect with him on that front. But you can't be like, I know exactly what you're going through. Bitch, you didn't have no fucking parents. Like that shit would piss me off. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? I saw the person that I looked up to the most in this world kill my parents. like,
Yeah.
Shit, our parents, nigga.
like,
Damn
But
son.
bro,
okay, this
yeah,
is
bro.
I
Yeah,
do want I do.
Pat's not wrong.
But I will say this: it's not necessarily that Naruto doesn't know what he's missing because he doesn't. It's not like this event lives in a vacuum. He can visually see what he's missing by looking at the other kids in his class
Yep.
hanging out with his parents, by going around the village and seeing people happy, experience like doing like little events, going to dinner, doing these things that he doesn't have, right? Like
Dude, that's
if
just
he was in a
envy.
if he was in the forest, then yeah, like if he was like Inosuke, right? Inosuke never really had like Inosuke really doesn't grasp it because
Board gang.
that concept of parents and people low key doesn't exist to him. Those concepts do exist to Naruto because Naruto can see and he lives in an environment where everybody else but him has it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's all
It's
well
like if like
taken.
everybody had a car and you had to walk like everywhere like 50 miles a day like somewhere.
I
You'd be
mean,
like, ah,
I
fuck this shit.
understand your like as far as I'm gonna pull a nice statement here. I understand the argument, but it did not move me.
No,
It did.
I'm with you. I'm with you on this, Miles. I don't see any as more painful as the other. I you say it's equal. I just think the pains are different,
Yeah.
personally speaking.
I think
Like,
they're equal but different. Yeah.
yeah.
But then
Yeah.
I will make the argument Pat made. It's arrogant of Naruto to then
Oh, but
compare their
Naruto
pain.
had
I
that
agree.
has always
I
had
agree.
that problem.
I
Like,
agree.
Neji, nigga, I'm a slave. Oh shit, my bad. Like,
Yeah.
Naruto just has that problem. All right, I want to get to the last two. I want to get to the last
But
two topics. I'm hungry. All
oh
right,
yeah.
so has the so I actually want to tie these two together because I've been seeing a lot more Boruto talk on my timeline. And just
Oh
quickly, I don't know if
god.
anyone here keeps up at all, but how
No.
Pat, this kind of comes to something you've been saying earlier, where you're like, I don't see enough hatred. I see a lot of people switching up. Do you think the discussion around the series is changing
yes.
in a more positive light, in
It's
your opinion?
Yes, they're talking about this shit like it's good, and it's
Oh,
making me mad.
talk, speak on it.
These niggas have the utter nerve, gall, and audacity to keep trying to put this in the same vein as One Piece, and it's making me upset. I don't care if you're not enjoying Wano or whatever the fuck. When you look at the entire body of work between One Piece and Naruto, there is no discussion. One Piece is heads, shoulders, and leagues above Naruto. That
I
shit
don't know
needs
why I
to
thought you were saying
stop.
knees and toes.
Naruto not
Sorry.
even better than Bleach.
I
I
like
would
I,
agree
I
with
like
you,
Bleach
Shade.
more.
Alright. I
Bleach go
like where that's
crazy. You
coming
already know
from.
how I feel.
I like Bleach
Bleach
more.
goat.
Do you think
The shit needs to
it has to
stop.
do with Boruto? I saw a tweet the other
Yes.
day with
Yes.
Boruto, and I said, "What did I tweet? This is the worst shit ever I ever seen." I have to find the tweet what I said because somebody tried to kind of make make a like a general point of why Boruto should be very interesting to everybody,
It's not.
especially if they're a Naruto fan. But somebody speak while I look for it. I have to
I
find
think
the
it's
tweet.
because people use Naruto as like a reasoning as to like why you should like it. So it's like if people like Boruto, it's like well we have to now hype up Naruto to make it even better. Boruto
Okay,
just
makes
sucks.
sense.
Boruto sucks, bro. I'm sorry. I stopped reading after the Kurama died shit because I really feel like that was spitting in the face of everybody that ever read Naruto, truly.
Okay, so I
And
found
the
the tweet.
Otsutsuki are
Mhm.
the most boring villains I have ever seen in the entirety of anime and
Aliens
manga.
versus
They suck.
ninjas.
Oh my god, they suck. They are uninteresting. The main character, Jigen, can shrink himself.
Cool.
Cool. Like, why is that? Why is this guy like the main villain? Why is the guy that can shrink himself? Like, why would I? Why should I care? Why should I care about
Big,
this guy?
big whoop. I seen Boma and Veno watch that can shrink themselves. That ain't nothing new.
This shit's mid, and all the groups suck. None of them are interesting. This is the thing you like Boruto fans I hate. Like it's the only time Boruto is talked about is when Naruto and Sasuke are on screen. That is telling that your show sucks. It can't stand on its own.
Yeah.
No one likes Boruto.
So this tweet reads: the Atsuki clan are the reason how the Naruto series exists. Essentially, how do haters find it boring to explore the clan that's responsible for chakra, dojutsu, etc.? The Karma Seal is a fascinating lore in the Boruto verse, and I said this is
No,
the
it's
worst
not.
shit I ever seen, dog.
And, I,
That's what.
and, I, and
That's
I'll
nuts.
tell you what's wrong with that stupid argument because
The tweet's been deleted.
The Otsutsuki clan is one of the biggest problems of Naruto
Yep.
because they
Facts.
were introduced to us at the very end of the series. And then all of a sudden Kaguya came out and was the final antagonist. And we
Here's
knew nothing about her the whole series.
here's
That's not
the
the
thing.
Kagi, man.
This is the thing is you. No, I'm not saying you can have her at the end. She shouldn't be in the end. But you can still have Kaguya exist and not be an Otsutsuki. She could have just been some random chick that ate a chakra fruit, and that's how it all. But you didn't need to go into like some
Nah, man,
really
we all
lore
aliens,
depth
bro.
thing. We don't need a lore depth thing about a different alien race in Naruto. Like you don't have to. You don't have to overcomplicate something that no one cares about. It didn't have to be like that. And sometimes you don't need explanations for powers in series. Honestly, you don't. You don't need to know why. Like I live in a world where like people have powers. Cool. Like that's it. You don't really need shit sometimes. It's
Mm.
not that deep. They suck.
Yeah, I think they're awful. But I do think that part of the reason because Boruto was there and like certain things happen like the death of Kurama and I think is it called Baryon mode?
Yeah.
The nuclear
Horrible
physics thing,
transformation.
stuff like that, where like I think people kind of look back and then I see a bunch of ooh Cybo. I'm like, oh my god, stop it. Like I'm with Pat
Uh-uh.
where I'm with Pat where I see some people doing some nasty like like oh you know what actually this I'm like no you was right the first time or like I don't know I tie it to Boruto personally because usually when I see a bunch of Naruto talk on my timeline become very positive it's because something significant I suppose happened in Boruto, which is why I wanted to bring up anyone here cared about it at all because I haven't aside from the movie the episode that adapts the fight with is his name Momoshiki
That's actually a cool fight in the
when
anime. I'm
Naruto and
not gonna
Sasuke fight
lie.
against from the movie though, but like the episode, like
Uh,
okay, and then I seen the 10 chapters with Shin Uchiha, I believe his name was.
yeah.
So that's the only Boruto content that I guess you could say I've consumed, but I really have like I wish I could explain how disinterested I have. No, I don't even care like at all. Like
Nah, see,
even
this is the
Super,
problem with
which is
people.
not
People
good.
do this shit
Go
a
ahead.
lot.
Mhm.
Like, no, it ties into what you were just about to say. Like, just because one series is good doesn't mean that the other series that is a derivative of it is also good. And well,
Agreed.
in this case, Naruto sucks to me. So because Naruto sucks, Boruto's gonna suck regardless because it's based off Naruto. But with like Dragon Ball,
Yeah.
I like Dragon Ball. I like Dragon Ball Z, which basically is the same thing, but Toei just split it. Just because I like Dragon Ball Z doesn't mean Dragon Ball GT is good. Dragon Ball GT sucks. And I
Or
hate when
Super.
people try to do revisionist history for it, be like, well, actually, GT wasn't that bad. No, it sucks. It has one or two cool concepts, but that doesn't make it good.
See, this is always a thing though that always comes back to revisionist history. Naruto was the first thing that I've seen people do this for. So actually, nah, this been happening for a long time, even before
Mhm.
Boruto. This Naruto discussion been happening for like 6 years. Never, it'll never die. But this is kind of a thing too that happens when like people like us who were actually around, alive, and well when the series was ongoing, and then people who are just now getting into it. It's a completely different. I think that boosted like the very first time you and me had this discussion. Like when the series is over and you don't get to hear about any of the ongoing discussion and the years and the time that we all waited for certain events to happen and watch it happen as ongoing as he was writing it out, it's just different. You don't have the same problems with stuff. Like Pat, you, me, Nye, and most of us in here, I think we sat through it ongoing week to week as it was happening. And we were like, yo, what the hell is this? What is this guy doing? And then we were just like, yeah, because like the whole thing of like the ending of Naruto, everybody's like, oh, the ending doesn't suck because the end of the war is not the ending of Naruto. Therefore, the ending of Naruto doesn't suck. That's an
Oh,
argument
people
that
use
they
that
use.
as use an
Yep,
excuse.
yep. Boo.
Yes,
Yeah,
they do.
Tomatoes, tomatoes.
that's
Oh
a
Cause
wow, I
because
didn't
that's
know
the
I've
ending.
that.
believe it or not, I've used that argument before to defend Korra. Where I'm like the conflict with Kuvira on how that ends is awful. But like Asami and her like walking to the spirit realm, I'm like, whatever. I don't think the conclusion didn't really bother me.
I
But
think
the,
I love Korra too. So
so I've
That
actually
that's
used
what
that
people do.
that argument in my own way, but that wasn't moving me. I'm like, no, bro, this everyone coupled up, that's not moving me. So
That's what people do. But like I said, you reading that week to week? Come on, no
yeah.
way, no chance. You were sitting there and just like, this is okay. Nobody was doing.
hmm
Everybody was like, yeah.
With that all being
This,
said, y'all got any final words?
nah, I came in late. I just wanted to
Uh,
Yeah,
intrude in.
final
The
Boruto
people
shouldn't
words.
have
people who
happened
listen
in
to
the
this
first
probably
place.
gonna hate me. I keep
uh,
it.
I guess yeah. My last thing would just be I think the Naruto art's really really good. That's all.
Oh, Naruto art. Oh yeah. I mean, okay. No,
Yeah, I like the art.
there's a lot of good panels that are in hindsight. Like I remember when Pat was talking about the part with Sasuke with the Chidori. There we go. The Chidori and his flesh was coming off, and I guess the one like no, there's a lot of
Yes.
really good ones. It's my least favorite art of the big three, personally speaking. But I don't know if it's bad. I don't know. It's serviceable. It does its job to me. I don't look at Naruto art with any like but there were a couple of those earlier like color spreads that were pretty dope though. That I actually did like in color I ended up saving a couple of them. There's some good ones. The one with
The other
Neji
ones I sent
with his big ass scroll. And he has like his fingers
you,
up.
Yeah,
I like that
you
one.
got all the ones I sent you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna.
I mean, I would say one of the big problems for me of it
Mhm,
being the big three as a
mhm.
final thought is just the fact that I think that's the problem is that Naruto for me is not necessarily a, but to call it a part of the big three is like
You got the
from,
it's got the sales, man.
you know what I mean? I
It is
got the
part of the
sales,
big
yeah.
three.
I think with Naruto, it's like my
It is
last
what
would
it
be like
is.
with
Yeah.
Naruto. The same thing with Bleach. It's just I invested so much emotional time investment into it, and I just think it let me down. And ultimately, in the end, like
Yeah,
years of
that
like it lets
that's
me
what I'm
down.
saying. Like
Yeah.
I can think of series that are far superior during the same time period, and I'm like Naruto being. I know it is part of the big three; it always will be, but it's sort of like it never really deserved that title as far as the level of manga that was written. That's just me, but I think that's why
Okay,
I
so
judge
you're
it more
saying
harshly.
it doesn't measure up to the same standard as the other two, is what
Right.
you're
It
saying.
does. It's nowhere
Yeah.
near the Bleach or One Piece level as far as I'm concerned, but that's once again just my opinion.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah. But that means,
Um,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'll just say almost everything before the time skip I like to love. I think the best arc in the series happened before the time skip with Sasuke retrieval, and then Shippuden for the most part is boring. And then when like Pain gets involved and like Sasuke fights Itachi, that's when it like heats the fuck up. And then after that, it just spirals into garbage. Like it spikes back up in the five Kage summit, and then it just goes into the wayside and progressively gets worse and worse.
Okay. Vince, anything you want to say?
I mean, at this point, like I said, my biggest problem with the series is just I just don't really like the two main people that are like the components of the series.
Yeah.
But
And
other
like,
than that,
yeah, and it goes to say, like, sometimes, like, I do think it matters that if some things don't resonate with you on a real world level, it's just not gonna hit. Like, I don't think
yeah,
anything wrong with that.
this was the series that made me realize that. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that about myself until like got into the series at like, well, I've been doing my whole entire life, but as I was getting older and the characters were getting older, I realized that I was like, yeah, I don't like Naruto, I don't like this one, and I never liked Sasuke like that. He had cool moments, but I never really liked him.
Hmm.
But
All right.
yeah,
What,
but I don't have a big problem with this. I mean, people will probably watch this, but I'm probably gonna end up hating me. But
nah, no, man.
that's just
Whatever, bro. Grow up.
You
They
guys
they
So
weren't
knew
even
what
now,
that.
time it
You guys
was.
weren't even that mean.
what's next month's History Month then?
yeah,
Now
that's
this
true. I've
is
been
over.
worse.
I was actually gonna ask you guys. Do you guys want to do Dragon Ball next?
Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with
I'm
it.
always down for Dragon Ball.
Well, we just
Yeah,
reread that, so
that's
yeah,
the
Would
shit.
that's
would
actually
that
fun then.
include everything?
Dragon Ball the manga. Because
So
Dragon Ball, Dragon
that's
Ball
that's
Z,
basically
Dragon Ball
Dragon Ball the
Super.
well,
manga
Dragon Ball Z and Dragon
ends
Ball
at
the
the
manga.
Buu saga with the Oop stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
The anime split it into Dragon Ball Z. Just like
yeah.
the way
It's
Naruto,
Bulma
Naruto
Stronger Fan.
Shippuden, but there's just Naruto the manga. Just like there's just Dragon Ball the manga. It's not actually Dragon Ball
Right.
Z the manga.
Dragon Ball the manga is Kid Goku seeing Bulma flashing her panties all the way to the end of the Buu saga.
And playing with Oob.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. But all right. Goodbye. Orochimaru the best.